Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
And welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Donyshia Boston-Hill, CEO of Keeper of the Brand Marketing and Digital Agency. I'm generally here with my co-host, Ray Schwetz, AVP of NEFCU. And we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services to help you grow your business. Plus, we interview the top business leaders in the industry. But this week is something special. I have a treat for you. We're going to jump into a little success chat. They say the most beautiful lawyers are women. In business, this powerhouse all-female law firm's mission is you can be small enough to care, big enough to win. And we are so happy today that helping to provide you with business empowerment is our guest, Diana Bronnberg, Esquire, and Nicole Henriquez, Esquire, founding partners for Bronnberg and Henriquez PC. Ladies, welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you here, and I just want to share with our audience a little bit about your background and your law firm. So please indulge me, everyone. So Bronnberg and Henriquez PC is an all-woman, as I mentioned, all-woman law firm. And in this day of women empowerment, they are taking New York and the world by storm. They represent clients in workman compensation, Social Security disability, and injury claims. When the firm started in 2013, both Nicole and Diana had more than 16 years of experience working in disability for large firms. At Bronnberg and Henriquez PC, they represent union workers, trade workers, construction workers, day laborers, home health aides, steam fitters, electricians, and many, many more. Diana began her career as a paralegal at an international law firm. Her desire to attend law school was realized when she was accepted to New York Law School. While attending New York Law, she continued in various large firms in both defense and claimant litigation. So everyone listen to those words. Nicole, on the other hand, began her career as an assistant district attorney with the Kings County District Attorney's Office. She served as a prosecutor for 3 years under the Honorable Charles Hines. Again, ladies, we're so happy to have you here, empowering women, discussing the fight that you have, heels on the ground, I should say,
yes,
in the courtroom, and just making a difference in the lives of your clients and the world. So I'd like to just start off where, that's the bio is the bio, but we want to hear from you. How did you both start your journey? Please.
So, good morning. Thank you for having us. So, for me, it was very interesting because I'm an immigrant, and my parents immigrated to this country in the early 80s, and I just found as their process that they had all these papers, all these things coming up, and they just didn't know what to do with them. And they didn't have that advocate who was going to be able to help them with different things that happened to them in their lives. And that really kind of prompted me to want to pursue a career in the law so that I could help other people who did not have that support system. And being a woman really has made me sympathetic and empathetic to clients, which I think is very helpful, especially in disability law. And this is an area where people who are unable to work, who are unable to get their bills paid, and don't know what rights they have. Most people believe that they cannot file for workers' compensation. They cannot file for Social Security disability. And a lot of people, even though we do live in a litigious country, they don't want to sue. They just want to be compensated for part of what's happened to them so that they can help their families and provide for them.
Wow.
And for me, my parents are also immigrants, but being one of 4 girls. My father, indicated that someone has to be a lawyer, and I was the one that liked to argue. And
you stepped up to the plate.
Yes, and I always won my arguments. So I said, you know what, this is a field for me. And I also come from a business background. In terms of my parents, they owned their own business. So once we were already in practice for many years, it was a no-brainer to start our own business. And many attorneys can be great attorneys, but being business-minded is different. And so we found a great combination friendship between 2 women who've had 3 kids each, and followed each other in our journeys and decided that we could do better than most in terms of our advocacy for our clients. We like to represent the underrepresented, and we like to give knowledge, and we believe knowledge is key for all communities. If we can give knowledge to one person in a community, that will flourish, and everyone in their community will know their rights. And that's really where our goals for everyone.
Absolutely. And these are strange and interesting times we live in. So when you speak about, when I read your bio and I hear about, the fight for the immigrant, the language barriers, how are your clients, dealing with that? Are they, scared to step up to the plate and say, hey, I want to fight for my rights. I'm injured and I need help. I can't pay these, bills. What are some of the, things you're seeing?
Yeah, it happens on both ends, immigrant, non-immigrant. There are many people who are part of unions that don't even want to file. They're part of unions, and if they do file something for legitimate injuries, they get on, I guess, blacklisted, is the term that they use. They no longer want to get called for jobs, so it makes them reluctant to file legitimate claims. They'll work in pain, Wow. And then in terms of the immigrant population, they're afraid that more will happen to them just because, and so they don't even realize what they're entitled to. And even if you tell them, sometimes it's a lot of coaxing to get them to even say, well, you should just get the basic treatment that you're entitled to, and they really don't want to,
Yeah, and so what we try to do is we talk to the person that has a potential claim or has a claim and explain to them what their rights are, what is covered, what isn't covered, what they should expect, what they shouldn't expect. And I think that once they know the process, it relieves a lot of the pressure from them because, for instance, in a workers' compensation case, you're not suing anyone. You are just filing a claim through the insurance company for your medical benefits and some wage replacement. And in Social Security disability, again, you're not suing anyone. But if you've been paying into the system your whole life and now you can't work, you shouldn't have to wait till you're 65 to be able to get these supplemental benefits that are intended for people who are unable to work. So we really focus on the education part and getting the person to know what to do. And we do hold their hand by explaining the process. And with the language, we have 4 different languages in our office. We have Polish, Russian, Spanish, and obviously English. So it helps to unite the communities basically in having someone to go to and have it explained to them in a language that they feel comfortable understanding.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Donyshia Boston-Hill, and our guest today is Diana Bronnberg, Esquire, and Nicole Henriquez, Esquire, founding partners from Bronnberg and Henriquez PC. Now, I think you hit home, Diana, on something that's key, is that you're not suing anyone. That sounds to me that's a message that you're trying to really get across to a lot of people. They don't understand that they're filing just for the paperwork or the claim itself. They feel like maybe they're going against the union, Nicole, or
right.
against their employer.
Right. So the employers, oftentimes intimidate or I guess say, look, my premiums will increase if you file this claim. Okay. But it's just like car insurance. You have car insurance for a car. If you get into a car accident, you file a claim, right? Maybe it goes up a little bit, but you have to file the claim in order to get these bills paid. Otherwise, you'll have to pay them yourself. So, for example, we had a client the other day who has $50,000 in hospital bills, but he's afraid of getting fired from his employer. His employer did the right thing and filed the claim on his behalf because technically, under New York state law, they are required to advise their insurance company that there was an injury while working for them. And so this employer did the right thing. And we still have a client who is afraid of getting fired. So we had to explain to this client, no, you're not suing. There's nothing additional that you're doing. You are now getting represented on a claim that your employer is represented by their insurance company. So you can handle a workers' compensation claim on your own, but we wouldn't advise it only because the insurance company is sending an attorney to represent their interests. And there's a judge, and there's terminology that you're not going to understand. And so as your attorneys, as your advocates, will let you know all of what you're entitled to that the insurance companies may not, advise you.
And just one of the most important things about a specifically workers' compensation claim is a lot of times when you get injured, you have this fear of filing because you don't want premiums for the employer to go up. You don't want them to be, you don't want to be fired. But at the end of the day, you also have to consider yourself, because if you sustain an injury that does become disabling in the future, if you don't file a claim, no one will pay for those benefits. No one will pay for your lost time. No one will pay for your medical treatment. We all know how expensive insurance is, how expensive co-payments, deductibles. With a workers' compensation case, there are no deductibles, there are no co-payments for the injuries that you sustained. So in order to make sure that you are protected, you want to have that claim.
Right. As lifetime benefits. So in terms of compensation treatment, you're entitled to treatment lifetime subject to the guidelines that they have in place. You're entitled to money for 18 years subject to the guidelines that they have in place. So Diana's correct. If you decide that you don't want to file a claim and you want to put it through your regular insurance does checks on how this accident happened. So if they find out, well, this happened at work, they'll pay for it. They may pay for it at first, but then they're going to ask you to get reimbursed. And if you fail to file the claim timely, then you're going to get stuck with those bills. So these are things that people think, oh, let me circumvent it. I don't want to do anything bad to my employer, but you're actually going to get stuck with it. Whereas you could get lifetime benefits with no copays and nothing like that. So, but on the business aspect of it, we enjoy working and seeing and growing our practice. And the way we grow our practice, we do believe that one happy client is worth 10. And then we've been blossoming from there. So it's been a great experience.
Well, that's fantastic. I think you're providing a service, but you're also helping families. Mm-hmm. And what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of people who decide not to file claims, or, the impacts on their personal lives. Not being able to work because they can't, loss of wages. What are some of the devastating experiences that you've heard from some of your clients, or have you seen over the years?
I mean, we have seen a lot of, ups and downs. Obviously, worst case scenarios, people become homeless, which is something that we try to avoid by trying to maximize what they're entitled to. So really, the key to a successful case is to get the guidance from the beginning, because when you are set on the right path, it's more likely for you to be able to plan ahead, to get the compensation that you need, make a decision whether returning to work is the right option for you, what other benefits are you're entitled to because of your injury or illness. So really the key for a successful case, and to try not to get into this worst case scenario, which is our objective, is not to get you to the worst case scenario, is by giving you the proper guidance.
But we've seen other things that we've seen is, as a result of injuries, most people don't realize that a lot of people, because of their loss of income, because of their change of life, their inability to pursue their passion to work, many people love to work, and this is what their passion is, or their hobbies. It's a change of life for them. They're maybe no longer the head of household. Mm-hmm. So now there are consequential claims that also are part of the case. And a consequential claim is something, or injury or condition is something that stems from the original injury. So for example, we've had clients who have had back injuries with back surgery, and they're home health aides or electricians, and they can't perform that job anymore. Now they're no longer making that big salary that they used to make, and they have to live off of just workers' compensation. It changes them, and many times they end up having consequential psychological claims. They have adjustment disorder, they have post-traumatic stress disorder, they have anxiety, and it's been documented and it's been accepted in part of the claim because of that change of life. They have depression, major depression, because their life has been changed. So those are the worst case scenarios, and what even makes it worse is, or I've seen other issues, is pain medication. The opioid epidemic has affected the workers' compensation, system greatly. They do have opioid measures now within the workers' comp to have people wean off. But we've had experiences with clients who have, had range of emotions of rage to depression, suicidal. And although we're just attorneys, our paralegals, we sometimes tell them, we wish you'd go back to school and get a psychology or a sociology degree or social work degree, because every day it's a range of emotions. We can have a client that calls us to say, you're the best, oh my goodness. And then another client who says, you've been on the case for 2 days. What am I going to do now? And they're freaking out. And we have to say, okay, we have to pacify them and also get, ourselves into action. So those are the worst consequences. But for us, the worst cases, obviously, are death cases, which we have represented the widows and widowers on. Those are the most devastating when you see a family who either, their loved one has died immediately at the accident site, or as a consequence of surgery, and then they die as a result of that. So those are very serious for us, and we take them seriously. We get the death benefits for the widow and the children, and the widow of the children, and reimbursement of funeral expenses, and so subject to the guidelines. So, those for us are the worst things.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is Diana Bronnberg, Esquire, and Nicole Henriquez, Esquire, founding partners from Bronnberg and Henriquez PC. My name is Donyshia Boston-Hill, on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation, on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Donyshia Boston-Hill, and today our guest is Diana Bronnberg, Esquire, and Nicole Henriquez, Esquire, founding partners from Bronnberg and Henriquez PC. Now, ladies, you sound like you've seen it all in the world of workman's comp and just disability as a whole. So I know, Diana, you focused on PTSD victims from 9/11. And, I'm looking in the news, Nicole, and I'm hearing, people are still affected by this today. Are people still filing claims? Are people still coming forward from 9/11?
Yes. People are still coming forward from 9/11, and they have extended the deadlines in which to file because of the latency of the symptoms. A lot of times people are not realizing that anything is wrong. They were at the sites, they worked there, they were and they were okay. And now as they get older, as time goes on, as, more stuff kind of comes up, they are realizing that something is wrong. So thankfully, they still have the extension of time to file claims. With post-traumatic stress disorders, those were generally immediate or within a certain short period of time after the attack. So those cases were pretty much, we got the people benefits for life, so that they can get their treatment, they can get their benefits. They've retired most of the time. They're not working anymore. So in that sense, they are covered for the trauma that they sustained. Even at the prior firm that I worked at, we also did the same thing. Our office was very close, so was Diana's to the site. I was actually down there when it happened. Yeah. I didn't go seek treatment, but I felt the anxiety for a while after that, just being there and seeing it. But having that empathy for these clients and hearing what they're going through in their families, the cancers that are coming up, and the sinusitis, rhinitis. People don't think these things are disabling, but they are, because if you've never had them before, I don't really suffer from allergies, but I see my family does. If you have that on a chronic basis every day, all day, this is something that is debilitating, and that's why they've recognized it, and they have extended the deadlines as a result of that. But mostly important for the cancer issues, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's definitely traumatic, and years and almost decades later, we're still seeing the effects of that unfortunate incident. And So let's just talk about the fact that right now you ladies have decided to, launch your own and establish your own all-female law firm. What was the inspiration behind that niche? And
I think what Nicole and I really pride ourselves is that most of the time you hear that women are catty, they can't get along, they can't support each other. And I found that in my experience when I was working for other firms, especially like the bigger firms, the women were not as supportive. They were not there holding their hand out and saying, hey, I see you're a woman. I see that it's not so easy for you to get ahead. Let me guide you. Let me be your mentor. And Nicole and I have, as she said, 3 kids each. So she has a daughter. I have 2 daughters. We have sons. We wanted to show them and the world that women can be successful and they can actually pick each other up and elevate themselves. We don't have to step on each other to get ahead because there's abundance in the world. Right. And the fact that we are friends and we respect each other and we really are growing this together, it's like, it's like our baby. We always said that it's our child. We're raising it, increasing its viability and showing the world that you can have it all.
Right. And even with our women, staff, we encourage them on a daily basis to pursue additional careers. One of our staff members are going to take the LSATs and pursue law, actually 2 of them. And we tell them, you're limitless. We treat them as if they are a family. And we say, this is not everything for you. We see who you are. We see the star that you are. And we try and put our staff members within the positions that make them shine. So we figure out, we are always revamping it. So we realize, one staff member is really great with client advocacy. She can deal with the crying client or the belligerent client. And so we kind of call her the client whisperer, whenever we have an issue, so because some other people don't really have that talent. But in terms of being women, when we first started in this industry, there were maybe 2%, maybe 2 to 5% of women in this industry. So can you imagine walking into an attorney's room and you're one of 2 women and all are men and they're talking their men talk and we're just like, okay, where do we fit in? So that's how we gravitated towards each other. There's like an attorney's room, so we sat together, we had lunch together, we were introduced with a mutual woman friend, and all 3 of us are great friends. And we just started talking about why can't we do this? Why are there no other women? Why are there no women firms already in existence? Why is it as maybe one person is reaching to be a partner within that firm but hasn't reached yet? This is back when we were discussing doing it, and we said, what, ownership is key. Like, why are we not owning it? Let's just do this. So we mapped out our plan in our little lunches. I'm sure the men thought we were talking about our nails and hair, but what? We did what we had to do. And it's so fun. It's not funny, but it's funny. When we first decided and we went out on our own, the comments that we received from our men colleague friends, quote, we're like, oh, we get it. You're a good looking woman. We understand. Right.
Like
but then now, they see what we've done and, they see the value and they see what we've done with our clients and how aggressive we are as advocates for our clients and how strong we are. And we're not just a pretty face.
And we don't have to play with the boys. We can, show up, have a conversation. We have knowledge, and that has been key because you come in and they're like, oh, another pretty face, but there's no substance. And then when we start talking and we start providing the information and the structure that we've really established, they're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. That's something we should incorporate into our practice. How do you guys manage to do this? How do you guys manage to do that? And now we find we are actually educators of other attorneys, some younger, some older. And we have a lot of, people are respecting us as attorneys rather than just as a woman or a man. Right. Because they see that we're not just hot air.
Yeah. So, it's so funny. Like when we started our firm, it was a lot of younger men who were like, wait a second, they did it? Oh, we're going to do it. Right. So then after we started our firm, I would say at least 4 other men went out on their own and started smaller their firms. Right. And they were coming to us saying, well, how'd you do this? And, what do you use for that? What do you use for this software? How do you manage that? So we're giving them tips because we're not going to, obviously,
right.
But at that point, we realized, we are now becoming mentors not only to women, but to men, that are younger, and seeing what we've done and realizing that, we have a winning formula. As one of our clients says, we have the winning formula. And, but it hasn't been an easy road. There have been long nights, many weekends, hard. But now we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're just happy that we're doing it together. We were good friends before, but we're family now.
Yes.
Our husbands get along, our kids get along, we plan vacations together, we share religious, ceremonies together.
Even though we're different religions. We're still...
You're supportive.
We're supportive, yes.
Right. So, I went to your house for
Rosh Hashanah.
I'm still good with... I know I went there and I knew what it was, but, sometimes I'm confused.
Still learning.
I'm still learning. But, but it's a blending of cultures.
Yes.
A blending of races, a blending of religion. We're both women, but, obviously we have had different experiences growing up within New York, or Diana from Russia and then coming to New York. So it's been a great experience. It's been a learning experience, and everything that we learn, we try and spread to our staff, and we learn from them. The staff that we have, they're amazing. The Polish staff, Polish speaking staff that we have, I took one of them from my former firm. She has her sister there. All cultures represented, and so we're blessed, and we're happy that we did this. We made this choice.
You're listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. And our guest today is Diana Bronnberg, Esquire, and Nicole Henriquez, Esquire, founding partners for Bronnberg and Henriquez. Now, ladies, I'd like to just ask you a few last final thoughts. One, what advice would you give to other lawyers out there that are trying to start their own firm, and women?
So I think the first thing is to really do your homework, and that is to outline what is your goal, what is it that you want to accomplish, and how you want to get there. Most important is to get a really good accountant. That was one of the lessons that we learned the hard way, because when you are growing, you need to have someone really helping you know where you should be putting your money, where you should be holding it back. And the other thing that's really important, which we've really incorporated into our practice, is to have fun. Even though we work hard, we still have fun. And we encourage our staff to have fun with us, because we want to create an environment where you want to go to work. Because when you get to that point where you don't want to be there, then success is really hard. So create the environment where you want to be there, and you just want to continue to see the flourishing of your practice.
Fantastic.
She's absolutely right. I mean, we've taken our staff on, staff team building. We've taken them to the spa. We've taken them to Weekends Mohegan Sun. We've taken them wine tasting, rented a sprint, so we want them to know we appreciate them, and we realize that when we appreciate them, they appreciate us. So that will be our great, advice to anyone wanting to start out. Also, when we started out, as Diana said, outline. I walked around with a little marble notebook and I wrote down every day my ideas, and I revamped them, and then I redid them, and I changed the outline, and then I added, and then she added, and we collaborated. And by the time we were able to start, we had all the pieces of the puzzle together. It was also that we decided to just specialize in certain areas. Some attorneys who go out on their own make the mistake of doing everything, and everything may not allow you to be as organized. Organization is key. Having a great software is key. So these are the things that we learned along the way.
And also talk to other attorneys.
Yeah. Use your network.
Use your network. Networking is key, because that really is the guidance that you need. Have that support system.
The empowered woman is powerful beyond measure and beautiful beyond description. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'd like to thank you for being with us. My name is Donyshia Boston-Hill, and on behalf of my co-host, Ray Schwetz, and the producers here at 90.3 WHPC, the creative director of Tower Talk Radio is Rudy Breedy. This is an NCC Foundation Business Leaders Council production. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available on iHeartRadio, as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcast, and Spreaker. This is Tower Talk Business Radio.